Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to NoDQ&A video once again here on NoDQ.com, as well as the YouTube channel and NoDQ&A videos affiliate, ringsidenews.com. Got your questions here from spring.me/Aaron Rift. So let's get started with the first one today from Adrian M. Rocky. Hey Aaron, if Sting does wrestle for WWE, would they consider doing Sting versus Cena? As I saw the WWE 2K15 reveal and Cena mentioned it, would it be not smarter to go with Sting versus Taker or even Sting versus Rock? Who would you prefer to see Sting wrestle? Well, I think of all the possible choices, I believe that Sting versus John Cena would be perhaps the biggest marquee match that you could do, because after all, John Cena is the biggest star in WWE and Sting was the biggest star in WCW at his peak. It's like, from a marketing standpoint, you can do franchise versus franchise. You can bill it as that. And it would have like a Hogan Warrior type of vibe to it, even though John Cena gets booed by everybody. But, he is this ultimate babyface character. And him versus Sting, the two top good guys from their respective eras going at it. So I think that match would be the biggest box office draw. Or Sting versus The Rock. That match would be huge. And also Rock is more closer to Sting's era. Both of them were very popular during the Monday Night Wars. So I think a lot of older fans would perhaps prefer that match. And, in terms of mainstream appeal, you have The Rock, who is The Rock. So him and Sting, I think, would draw in a lot of the older fans. That would be a good choice. And you look at some of the other guys, you could do Sting against the top heel. Triple H would probably be your best option. And once again, like Rock, Triple H, he goes back to the Attitude Era, and he was a top star around the same time as Sting. So, Triple H closer to Sting's era. John Cena would be more like one era versus another era. Sting versus Taker, I've talked about it before. I'm not really a big fan of it, because I think it's too late, and I don't think Undertaker should wrestle again. That's just my personal opinion on it. But, if that match does happen, it would be huge. But, yeah, if I had to choose a match, I would probably go with Sting versus John Cena. All right, this one comes from WWE Fan 5. Hey, Aaron, personally, I think the Falls Count Anywhere match on Raw is a Match of the Year candidate. What did you think of it? I thought that Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins on Raw was definitely one of the top Raw matches of the year for sure. And I think it was a better match than the SummerSlam match. Honestly, that was the match I was hoping to get at SummerSlam, not the Lumberjack match, but, not to knock the Lumberjack match. I thought that was actually very good and better than I was expecting. But, I really wanted to see them go all out and have this crazy brawl with all the weapons and all that. And, I liked the angle that they did at the end with Dean Ambrose getting the curb stomp on the cinder block. I thought that was well done, and they're doing this angle now where his status is unknown, and he's going off to do the WWE Studios movie. So it's a good way to get him off television for a few weeks. So, I thought it was very effective. Great match and entertaining storyline, and you're wondering what's going to happen next with Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins. So, big thumbs up for that whole segment. All right, this one comes from Creature13. Did you like the confrontation between Mark Henry and Rusev? I think it's a good choice to have Mark Henry go up against Rusev next, and it does make sense when you consider the fact that Mark Henry competed in the Olympics for the United States. It makes sense for him to be the next guy to represent the USA and stand up against Rusev. So on that hand, it's a good idea, but on the other hand, I was confused a little bit, because earlier on the show you had Mark Henry and Big Show as a tag team, and they've been a tag team now for about a week or so. So it seemed like WWE was going in a direction where the two of them would be this monster tag team. They even have their finisher where Big Show does the punch and then Mark Henry does the big slam. So I'm not really sure what's going on now, if they're dropping that tag team and they're putting Mark Henry in with Rusev. I mean, it seems to me like they're not really sure what to do with Mark Henry, and it's pretty clear that they came up with something at the last minute. There was some sort of change. I just don't understand why Mark Henry would seemingly be in two separate storylines. But yeah, I do think in terms of being the next guy to go against Rusev, Mark Henry is a good choice. All right, this one comes from Chris Mace 39628. Please answer in video. Do you believe moving TNA to Wednesday will help them get better ratings, or is this a sign that the end is near? I think that it might be a necessity for TNA, especially if SmackDown is moving to Thursday nights. If that's the case and that happens, then TNA really has no other choice but to go to Wednesday nights. But I do see it as a positive. I do think that it's a good idea to switch nights. If for any other reason, you won't have to worry about the sports competition as much. TNA will have less competition. They won't have to worry about SmackDown if it goes to Thursday nights. They won't have to worry about football or any of that stuff. So I do think it will help the ratings, or at the very least, it'll keep the ratings consistent, and we won't see any kind of significant drops if there's a big football game or something like that. So yeah, I think Wednesday will be fine for TNA, and it's a good move. And I expect there to be maybe a little bit of a drop in ratings at first, but I think in the end people will find their TNA wrestling on Wednesday nights, and I think it'll be more the same. I don't really see a huge increase in the ratings, but I don't see any kind of major drop, and I think after a few weeks people will adjust, and their ratings will at least remain consistent. All right, this next one comes from Rosebud Peep. Love the show. Do you think John Cena is not giving enough credit for allowing Brock Lesnar to squash him and being a diva or losing his smile? Could you imagine Hogan or HBK letting themselves be squashed like that? Absolutely not. And I do feel that you are correct. John Cena does deserve more credit. I haven't really seen much in the way of comments online about, John Cena. He really deserves credit for putting over Brock Lesnar like that. I mean, he probably didn't have to do as much as he did and take as much punishment. And very rarely in wrestling have we seen a top babyface get destroyed like that in a world title match. I mean, going back in the history of WWE, I mean, very rarely do you even see a title match that is so one-sided that goes the amount of time that Brock Lesnar versus John Cena went. I mean, it was like 15 minutes of Brock Lesnar just beating the holy hell out of John Cena, and you just don't see that. So, I mean, John Cena absolutely deserves credit for putting over Brock Lesnar as a monster. It's not going to do John Cena any harm, losing that match to Brock. And, the big question now is what's going to happen at Night of Champions. Will John Cena put over Brock Lesnar again? I think he will. I think John Cena will be a team player and do whatever it takes to get Brock Lesnar over, because the more over Brock Lesnar's over, the better the chance of somebody like Roman Reigns being able to really gain something out of beating Brock Lesnar. So, if it's best for business, I think John Cena will do what it takes to get the guy over. All right, this one comes from Scott Ness 49972. Answer in video, please. What is your take on Randy Orton's character? If you ask me, he's gotten really bland over the years, and I can hardly watch him anymore. How could WWE fix this? Well, I don't really know if there's anything they can do to fix Randy Orton or change his character. It is what it is, and he's been a heel, he's been a babyface, he's played both roles back and forth over the years. I'm not really sure how you change his character. I don't really know if there's a way. The fact is, whether you think he's boring or not, at SummerSlam, he got a huge reaction when he came out. People still see him as a top superstar. And ultimately, that's what counts for WWE is, having that star power and people taking you seriously. And Randy Orton is taken seriously by the fans. So, he can go out there, he can do his headlocks, and he might not be all that exciting at times, but he gets the job done, and he still sells merchandise, and he's still a top star in WWE, despite perhaps being boring to some people. So, as far as the Randy Orton match with Roman Reigns at SummerSlam, I mean, I thought the first half of that match was quite boring, to be honest. I know a lot of people like that match, and I did feel that the match really picked up at the end, but it's just more of the same from what we've seen with Randy Orton over the years. The usual put the guy in the headlock and the chin lock and all that stuff for 5 minutes, and you just got to deal with it. I mean, I don't really see anything changing with Randy Orton. All right, that'll wrap things up for this edition of No DQ&A video. Thanks as always for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, please share it on Facebook and Twitter. Tell a friend about No DQ&A video, and I will see you guys next time for more.